Hello and welcome. If you're just joining our vlog series, we are embarking on a road trip up the east coast of the United States, and today is the 8th day of this trip. After hitting New York and then Boston, it's time to move on. Day 8 was the one day we had both been looking forward to. We don't really need a reason to do these trips, but we tend to have a theme and a main purpose, a goal if you like. And everything else is planned around that purpose. For this trip, it was spending Halloween on the East Coast. Last year we did Halloween on the West Coast and it was epic. However, whenever you think of Halloween, images of New England come to mind. White picket fences decorated with pumpkins, black cats and witches prowling in the shadows. It's the stuff of childhood dreams and Hollywood incarnations. Of course, when thinking of New England Halloween locations and those perfect iconic scenes, there is one place that will always jump out more than any other: Salem. Home of the witch trials, setting of umpteen Hollywood films and TV shows with Halloween themes, and the picture-perfect New England Halloween town. We both had this day as our highlight of the trip, and we were so excited to actually get to Salem. It's really not too far from Boston, and there are several attractions in town that are covered by our Go City Pass, so we just needed to get over there and start exploring. But first, we needed to get to the airport. It would be madness to fly to Salem, a little over 20 miles away. But we got the best price on the hire car by renting from Logan Airport, so we hopped in an Uber and headed over to the rental centre. This is supposed to be a road trip, however, apart from a few Uber rides, we've not actually done much road tripping. We flew into NYC and used public transport, and then got the train to Boston, where we again utilised the public transport system. But today, finally, we get a car. While our automotive part of the trip is delayed, we'll be making up for it in the next few days as we embark on an epic journey over 1,000 miles through mountains, forests, Great Lakes, and even into Canada as we head upstate New York and deep into the Midwest. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you can follow along. We just rented a basic medium SUV with plenty of room, but nothing special, and got a good price of Avis for 7 days as we headed one way right across the country. The Mitsubishi Outlander was a little basic and a touch beat up, but gave good mileage and was perfect for our cross-country slog. The drive to Salem was nice and easy, a single highway just passing through the Massachusetts suburbs on a glorious fall morning. We arrived in Salem with a really strong feeling of Halloween. New York had been dressed pretty well for Halloween, but Boston had been really uninterested. However, Salem was full on embracing Halloween. On arrival, things were pretty quiet, and we arrived shortly before 9 AM, so had a full day to explore. We got right on to hunting out some film locations from our favourite Halloween film, Hocus Pocus. While many of the scenes of the film were shot in the main part of town, most of the iconic locations are just out of town, so we headed there first before returning to the centre to check into the hotel. We had brought along our own little binks in the way of a landslide backpack, and were really excited about getting out and seeing some of the movie sites. First port of call was Salem's Pioneer Village. The village was used as the opening location in Hocus Pocus, where the Sanderson sisters first run amok and get banished to the cabin in the woods. Thackeray Binks's home is located here, along with most of the scenes shot in the village. Unfortunately, the witch's cabin was shot on a soundstage in LA. Despite being so close to Halloween, the village operates a weekend-only policy and was closed today, which was very annoying. But we headed along to see what we could see over the fences. We got an okay view and could grab some shots. The next stop was Max and Danny's house. This is the new home of the family as they move to Salem and only really appears briefly apart from the indoor shots, but is still an iconic location. This is a private residence, but the owners do not mind respectful visitors. The road at this time of year is closed to non-residential traffic, so we parked up respectfully a little distance away and walked down. The very clear road closure signs didn't seem to be so clear to everyone, and at least one car ignored the signs and drove down to the house. Very disrespectful. The house is situated on the junction of Ocean and Shore Drive. We took some photos, only used our indoor quiet voices, and stayed entirely on public property, then moved along. The short walk down Ocean Drive to the house was really fun, as the houses were really dressed up for the season, and there were some great spooky displays. The final out-of-town stop was the Old Burial Hill Cemetery. We considered not visiting this location as it's a fair way out of town and it's only briefly, if importantly, featured in the film. However, we decided to make the trek and we were happy we did. If nothing more, it was such a gorgeous location. The old cemetery sits atop a hill situated on Marblehead Peninsula and offers stunning views of the area. The fall colours were in full effect and the temperatures were an unseasonable 70 degrees and would later top 80. We just enjoyed the area, the bonus Halloween houses, and even ended up on Elm Street. As a filming location, this is where Max first meets Ice and Jay and has his shoes stolen. It's a short scene but quite important, and it's a really fun one to hunt out, even though we could not quite find the exact angle at which the scene was shot. By now it was getting on towards midday and we were still a bit early for check-in, but we decided to head over to the hotel to check out the parking situation and see if we could leave our luggage while we explored downtown Salem. Upon arrival, we were greeted with a warm welcome and told our room was ready and we could go ahead and check in. We were only staying a night, and after seeing our room, the property and the warm welcome, we wish we were staying a little longer. That's the issue with these short trips where we do so much, we need to stay on the move and keep ploughing on and packing things in. Our room was pretty vintage, but it had a real charm about it, and it was flooded with natural light and space, two things we seem to be lacking so far on our accommodation choices. The only problem was the strange door to a weird cupboard that felt a little ominous. More on this later. After dumping our stuff, we get up and headed out to explore Salem itself. What you'll find over and over again when hearing about our trips is we value one thing in accommodation more than anything else: location. And the location of the Salem Inn is basically perfect. Slap bang in the middle of town and literally steps from two iconic Salem locations. First, the Witch House. This is the only structure in Salem still standing that was actually related to the witch trials, making this a very iconic location. It is an incredibly well preserved building and dates right back to 1642, maybe even earlier, and was the home of Jonathan Corwin, one of the judges who sent over 19 innocent women to the gallows. You could pay to go in and visit the museum, but we were happy just viewing from the outside. Next stop was the Ropes Mansion, another Hocus Pocus filming location and the home of the character Allison. This mansion is a real stunner and is heavily decorated for the season. Again, there are garden tours, but we just wanted to take a look and plan to come back later when the sun had gone down. Both these sites were right next to our hotel, but the centre of Salem was a bit further away, but still only a 250 metre walk through to the town centre. The town was heavily in the Halloween spirit, with characters wandering around posing for photographs, although they do expect a tip, all the witchy shops fully decorated in Halloween regalia, and various pop-up attractions here just for the Halloween season. The town really embraces its spooky heritage. Just walking through the centre was great fun, but it was time to head to our first attraction on the Boston Go City Pass. Here's our running total from the last 2 days. We had 1 day left on our pass, and it covers several attractions over here in the Salem area. Annoyingly, the first attraction we planned to visit was closed. We were getting a little frustrated that so many attractions were just shut down on random days in this part of the world. We are used to 24/7 sightseeing and had kind of assumed this would be the case here, especially at Halloween. But this was not to be, and we missed out on this one and lost $20 value on the pass. We had more look at the Witch Museum. This needed pre-booking and is only available to book the morning you plan to visit, and we made sure we were up bright and early to snag the booking. We ended up booking a 1:45 slot and had planned to spend the time beforehand in the Peabody Museum. As this was not possible, we had some time to kill, so we grabbed some lunch from the village tavern before heading over to the Common for some more sightseeing and hunting out another Hocus Pocus filming location. We visited the old Phillips Elementary School building. This was the setting for the high school scenes in the film. It is no longer a school, but just a large old brick building on the side of the Common. After lunch and exploring the Common, we headed back to the Witch Museum for our booking. The museum is an interesting exhibit. Unfortunately, they have a very strict no filming policy, which meant we were not able to get any inside footage. The museum opened in 1972, and its main exhibit has remained exactly the same for over 50 years, so do not expect too much in terms of technology. The main presentation takes place in a large dark hall, the lights go out and a series of dioramas are illuminated in sequence around the upper edges of the room. An ominously voiced narrator tells the story of the trials as the sets light up in turn. The details of the various models is really impressive, as the life-size sets depict key moments of the events that took place in the village. It's quite creepy really, mainly as it's so static with the mannequins just staring lifelessly back at you. It's one of those things that really is quite rubbish, but it's just so iconic and totally a part of visiting Salem. After the museum, we continued our exploration of the town, heading to the bottom end of the town and visiting the Real Pirates exhibition. This tells the tale of an actual pirate ship that was found just off the coast. The exhibit has several artefacts recovered from the wreck, along with exhibits and recreations of life aboard a real pirate ship, with many such ships operating just off the waters of the East Coast. Not all pirating was done in the Caribbean. The highlight for us was actually seeing real pieces of 8 and the opportunity to actually touch some real pirate booty. Pretty cool. It was a really fun museum, and we're glad it's on the pass and we took the time out to go visit. The last attraction we visited was the House of the Seven Gables. This is the closest you are going to get to the Sanderson sisters' house. This was the inspiration for the movie, but unfortunately the actual house was built on a soundstage, making this a must-see. Unfortunately, you have to pay to see the house properly. You can scan a basic view from the road down the side, and we saw a few people doing just that, but to see the house properly, there is a charge. It's only $6, but feels a bit steep just to look at the house. You can pay more for a tour or entry to the interiors, but we just wanted to look, and we're really happy the pass covered it. The house is stunning and the ground's beautiful, so we spent some time enjoying the peace and quiet. This was the last attraction on the pass, so let's do a little summing up on our overall pass experience. The pass has been excellent. We really felt it opened up Boston in a way we would not have found without it. We did 10 attractions in total and based most of our time around the pass, although we still got to see a lot of the city as well. It was great to have a few attractions included in Salem, as this was always going to be part of our visit to New England. Overall, we saved a whopping $136. However, we used a 10% discount code, so our actual savings were even higher. And with the pass only costing $125 with the code, the savings were a huge $150. It's great to have all your attractions budgeted before you arrive in a city, and $125 to see all of the best stuff that Boston has to offer is a real bargain. If you are heading to Boston, we highly recommend the pass, as it really did make the trip so much better, and we had almost no issues using it. Annoyingly, a lot of the attractions we wanted to visit were closed, but that would have been the case without a pass. We have a link in the description to our discount page where you can bag a 10% code off for yourself. Back to Salem. After the House of the Seven Gables, we worked our way back to the hotel, taking in one last filming location. The Old Town Hall. This is the location of the Halloween party where the Sanderson sisters bewitch the townsfolk with their hypnotic number, "I Put a Spell on You." Again, just a quick snap, and off we go. We arrived back at the hotel just in time for wine hour. Only things went south pretty quickly. We went to our room just as a fire alarm went off. A quick evacuation and we were out on the street waiting for Salem's fire department, hoping it was a false alarm. A few seconds later, the trucks arrived and the firefighters bravely entered the hotel to shut the alarms off. It was indeed a false alarm, and it was all over in a matter of moments, and we were off to wine hour. Honestly, we didn't know the hotel provided this when we booked, and it was a welcome surprise, but essentially for 1 hour, the hotel just gives you some free wine. We took full advantage of this and sunk a few glasses while we relaxed in the courtyard of the historic hotel. When we headed back to our room afterwards, we found the creepy cupboard door was open. We were both sure this was closed when we left, but when we got back, sure enough it was open. So we ensured it was shut this time and headed out for dinner. The bartender at the hotel for wine hour had pointed us in the right direction for dinner. We took her advice and ended up at Rockefeller's. This was a nice bar and grill type restaurant that offered standard American dishes, all done really well. We had a buffalo chicken flatbread and a black and blue burger, along with a few drinks to get us ready for the fantastic night we had planned in Salem. With so many strange and spooky things going on in Salem, there really is only one thing to do in the evening, and that is a ghost tour. There is a lot of competition in Salem for ghost tours, and in October in particular, there are hundreds of tours going on every night. We chose to go with one of the market leaders and our top tip for ghost tours in Salem, the Black Cat Shop, mainly because we're just a little bit obsessed with black cats. The tour started at 8 PM sharp with the meeting point just across from the shop at the Bewitched statue. Our guide was dressed in a fantastic Halloween outfit, something of a cross between a witch and a pirate, which is perfect for Salem. The tour takes you around some of Salem's most haunted and interesting sites, while the tour guide regales you with tales of the undead and unfortunate. Murders, mysteries, ghosts, witches, and even magicians all feature as the guide takes you around the town centre. You are encouraged to take as many photos as you like, but to keep filming to a minimum, so we just grabbed a few short clips and a lot of photos. Photos seem to work best on these tours, as there is a higher chance of something showing up later on, although we could find no real anomalies in our photos. The tour was really fun. Although not quite as good as our last ghost hunting tour in San Francisco, the town was just a little too busy with too much going on, and this seemed to disturb the spirits. We don't take these tours too seriously, and they're a lot of fun if you treat them as such. And this was especially so here, where the busy streets meant there was very little in the way of spookiness. As ever, the most interesting part for us is the history lessons that go with the tours, as the guides shed lights on the grisly past of one of the country's oldest settlements. The tour wrapped up on the back streets of the town near a cemetery and a church, but the guide ensured we made it back to familiar territory. It was now quite late and we headed back to a hotel where once again the creepy cupboard door was open. It would be an interesting night's sleep in an almost certainly haunted room. Tomorrow we really hit the road and start properly piling the miles onto the clock. We have 1,000+ miles to do over the next few days as we move back into the New York state, head upstate through the valleys and mountains of the Catskills up to Buffalo and into Canada to see the falls, and then we traverse the edge of the Great Lakes, stopping off at Cedar Point for some Halloween horror, before finally ending the road trip in Chicago. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel to follow along.